sensor से
Sir, please start your presentation. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear it.
Okay. I'll keep today's session somewhat brief, although I've prepared quite a lot because I am in the middle of something else. So, and also I think today's attendance is understandably poor because people are out of station, uh,
Yeah,
and I'm also out of station. I think. I mean, I'm somewhere else. Okay. But we can still start to some extent. Uh, So can you hear me and see what I've shared?
yes, sir, it's visible to us.
So, so if you remember, I'm just trying to recap what we discussed in the first lecture. We defined what are chiral fermions. Okay. So can you tell me what are chiral fermions? Somebody can tell me what are chiral fermions? Yes, if you have listened to the first lecture, you will know. Because there's no point in proceeding further if you have forgotten that. That is the basic starting point. So what are chiral fermions?
I think the chiral fermions are those which have kind of a directionality to it, depending upon the slope of the uh, band.
Yeah, so chiral fermions are basically just like ordinary fermions, except they come with a just like a spin index up down. They come with a index called right and left, and in addition to that, more importantly, their energy is proportional to their momentum. So it is not p squared by 2m, it is constant into p. So that is massless particles. Chiral fermions are massless particles. I mean, in this context. So there are two kinds of chiral fermions. One whose energy is uh, in the same direction as p, and another whose energy is in the opposite direction. Means like how to say, the energy is proportional to p, the other is proportional to minus p. So if the energy is positive constant into p, it's called right mover. If energy is negative constant into p, it's called left mover. Okay. So so the thing is that because of that nature, the ground state of the system will be very peculiar because there is no energy can be as negative as you want. So as a result, all the ground state will involve populating all the negative energy states. So otherwise the vacuum is unstable. So you have to assume that all the negative energy states are populated. So so that's what makes this uh, concept somewhat peculiar and mathematically delicate, because you have to handle those infinities that come right from the start. So you have to define density carefully so that you don't you avoid those infinities. So I have defined the density of right movers and left movers in momentum space, and once you define density in a way that that the idea is that the ground state of the system is annihilated by the density, so which means that this density actually measures the fluctuations from the average. So that's because the average is actually infinity, because there are infinitely many particles on a on a ring. So suppose you take a ring of perimeter L, finite number of particles with infinitely many. So, so because of this peculiarity, the usual expectation that density commutes amongst themselves does not apply, and the density and its adjoint have a commutator which is non-zero, and it's proportional to the identity, but that proportionality is non-zero. So that's called chiral anomaly. So basically, the fact that the the commutator of density and its adjoint is not zero, but it's not that bad either. I mean, it's at least proportional to identity. So, but it could have been worse, but it's not. It's just proportional to the identity, and the proportionality is non-zero, and that because it's non-zero, it's called chiral anomaly. And we did all this. So now what I'll do is I'll show you how to construct exact bosons from those densities which exhibit chiral anomaly. So the way to do that is you define your annihilation operators for B for right and left in this way, and these are your density of right movers. Maybe I'll bring my pointer. So this is the density of left movers in momentum space. This is the density of right movers in momentum space, and this. So my claim is that this corresponds to an exact boson annihilation operator. So I'm going to prove that this sort of correspondence implies that these are boson creation, and so the adjoint of this would be creation. So the way to do that is, of course, to simply use your chiral anomaly idea. So you see rho and rho, they commute. There's no anomaly when you have commutation of rho q and rho q dash. The anomaly comes when you have rho q and rho q dagger. So remember that there's rho q dagger is logically independent of rho q, because here for the right movers q's are positive, and for the left movers the q's are negative. So the dagger of rho has nothing to do with rho itself. And because of that, rho and rho dagger don't commute. Well, if both are right or both are left, of course, if one is right, one is left, they will of course commute because they're different species altogether. Otherwise, they they commute in this way. So, so this factor is inserted so that the same factor comes from chiral anomaly, and it cancels out. The reciprocal of that factor comes from chiral anomaly, and it cancels out, and you get this result. Okay. So now, see, remember that we took care to define the density in such a way that there are no infinities, that the ground state of the system is annihilated by the density, but we did not take similar care in defining the kinetic energy of the system. So if you see, I'll just remind you how I defined kinetic energy initially. Because I didn't want to throw too many technical ideas at you all at once, so I was a bit careless. So I defined kinetic energy like this. This is not a good idea because if you take the right movers, all the negative energies are occupied. So if you act this on the right movers, you'll get infinity here. You'll also get, because here p's are all negative. All the negative p's are occupied, and here all the positive. Well, rather, here all the negative p's are occupied. Here all the positive p's are occupied. So the total energy is understandably negative infinity. and that's not a good idea because you don't want physical quantities to have infinite eigenvalues. So obviously what you should be doing is defining operators that measure deviations from those infinities. So the infinity should be removed from your theory right from the start. So you're only measuring deviations. So you have to redefine this kinetic energy in such a way that you're actually measuring deviations from that infinity rather than that infinity itself, which is uninteresting. Okay, so the question is, how do you do that? The way you do that is so that's what I've said. So this has a problem. So you can define something called the normal ordered version of the right. So remember that the density, I mean the kinetic energy of right movers is like this. If you don't, you know, if you're very careless about your infinities, you're going to define it this way. But it's kind of intuitively, it's nice, it's easy to understand because after all, what is Vf into P? It's the energy of the right mover. And what is C dagger's PCP? It's the number of fermion right movers with momentum P. And you're summing over all the momentum. So that's understandably the energy. But then this acting on the ground state is minus infinity, and that's not something you want. So the way we do that is you define the what is called the normal ordered version of the right mover, and it's defined in this peculiar way. I tell you why this makes sense, because first I'm going to convince you that the right mover, normal ordered right mover acting on the ground state is 0. And why is that? Because can you tell me why if I take this, so if I have two vertical dots uh, on either side of HR, that's called normal ordered part of HR, and there's another new operator which is defined like this. So my claim is that if I take HR normal ordered and act it on the ground state, I get 0. Why is that? Because, can you tell me why that is 0? This HR dot dot acting on ground state. Can you mentally do that calculation and convince yourself that uh, normal ordered HR acting on the ground state is 0? By the way, are you recording me?
Yeah, sir. It's recorded.
Are you recording me from the beginning or you just started?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's from beginning.
From beginning, okay, good. Because I told you I want to upload it on my YouTube channel. I forgot to tell you. Okay. So can you tell me why HR dot dot acting on ground state is 0? Because remember, when are the right movers populated? For what values of P are the right movers populated, and when are they empty? You shouldn't forget that. You remember those V-shaped diagram that I wrote down in the first lecture?
Yes, sir.
What values of momentum are the right movers populated?
For positive momentum.
Are you sure? I asked you for what values of momentum are they populated? That means
Okay. Oh, means sorry, negative momentum.
yeah.
And
Yes.
positive momentum are
Yeah,
empty
fermions are
states.
present when energy is negative. For right movers, energy is negative, momentum is greater than 0. I mean, so energy is, momentum is less than 0. It's
Yes.
so if momentum is less than 0, uh, energy is negative, and when energy is negative, fermion is present there because that's the ground state. So, but here in this term, what is the momentum?
Get a p greater than 0.
Yeah. So if you
Positive.
act this, so if you act this on the ground state, you get
0.
yeah. See, whereas here I'm creating a what? So if p is greater than 0, minus p is
P is greater than 0 minus p.
if p is greater than 0, minus p is what? Minus p is also
It's negative.
yeah. Minus p is less than 0. So if minus p is less than 0 and I act it on ground state, I want to create something where less than 0, I want to create something on the ground state. Is that possible?
No.
Because
It's already field state, right?
yeah, it's already filled. Negative energies are all filled. So Pauli exclusion principle does not allow me to do that. Here it is 0 because I cannot annihilate something that's not there. Here I cannot create another one when it's already there. Okay. So for two different reasons, these two terms are separately 0. When you act normal ordered HR on ground state, this is 0 because I cannot annihilate when it's not there, and here I cannot create when it's already there. Okay. So because of that, normal ordered HR acting on ground state is 0. Did you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah, is that clear? That's important, isn't it? Because
It's clear.
see, this way of writing HR allows me to avoid those infinities, because even though all the negative energy states are occupied, and yet I'm able to avoid the infinity because I've defined HR in this way. But of course, I have to convince you that the original HR and this HR are more or less the same thing. Otherwise, you cannot say, well, how do you know this is the kinetic energy? So the next thing is to show that the difference between the this normal ordered HR and this the original HR is just a constant. So I'm going to show that the difference is just a constant, and the proof is just you subtract and you see that finally. So you just follow this logic, you just follow the steps, and you'll get this answer. And what is this? This is what is this in the bracket? This is what is this called? I mean, this you try to follow the steps yourself.
Sir, anti-commutation relation, sir.
Yeah, this is anti-commutator of C and C dagger, which is what is it? I mean, what is the answer for the anti-commutator? It is
1. 1.
yeah, it is 1 because this is same minus p minus p. It's Kronecker delta this and this, but these two are same. So it's 1, isn't it? You agree?
Yes.
So you try to follow this step that this is your HR with those two dots. This is the original HR. Then I take the difference. Then you see that this can be written as P greater plus P less. Okay. So the greater will cancel. So you will get terms like this, and you can rearrange them in this way. Okay. So now you will get sigma over all the p's greater than 0 bf into p, which is actually so this is not an operator, it's just a number which unfortunately happens to be infinity, but it's understandable why it's infinity, because so if you act HR on On the ground state, you should get minus infinity, isn't it? That's what this is going to be if you act HR on ground. So the difference HR dot acting on ground state is 0, but minus HR acting on ground state is plus infinity. Okay. Did you follow that? I mean, if you don't follow everything, that means you should work out all the steps. See, thing is that I'm giving you sufficient number of steps so that you will actually have not too much trouble in filling the gaps. If you really want to understand this subject, you have to sit down and work out all the steps. Okay, that's why I'm purposely creating a PPT with sufficient number of steps. So did you follow this? I mean, to whatever extent possible, assuming that you are able to go through these steps. So that's the idea of what is called normal ordering, which is a very critical concept in the subject. Well, if you don't normal order your operators, you get all kinds of infinities all over the place, and you won't be able to make head or tail of what's happening. So it's extremely important that all your operators are properly normal ordered so that you avoid infinities. Okay, so fortunately the density was already normal ordered the way I started off with. I defined it in a way that it's so the okay. So the what is the basic litmus test of normal ordering? Litmus test is if you act it on the ground state, you should get 0. I mean the reference state. So the actually that's called the Virasoro primary state. So it has a fancy name from conformal field theory subject. So that's called the Virasoro primary state. I will explain that technically later on in detail what is that Virasoro primary state. But that is basically what we have been calling the ground state of the system. So all the operators acting on the ground state should give 0 eigenvalue. So that is important. I mean, so rather okay. Let me put it differently. Operators which have the ground state as its eigenstate should give 0 eigenvalues. This is the more correct way of saying it. Okay, or at least finite. Later on, you will see some variations of that. Certainly not infinite or minus infinity or plus infinity. We should avoid those operators which are defined naively, which will give you plus infinity as answer for the eigenvalue, minus infinity. So you should avoid that. So that's why the way to avoid that is to define your operators in a normal ordered way. So you avoid those infinities. Okay. Similarly, you can define your left mover, normal ordered part of the left mover. That also gives you 0 when acting on the ground state. So similarly with number of right movers. So if you're not careful, you will just say, well, it is sigma p c dagger pcp. That is the total number of right movers, isn't it? I mean, how would you define total number of right movers? Just define it as c dagger pcp summation over all p. But that's not a good idea, because if you act it on the ground state, you will get infinity, because all the negative energy states are occupied and infinitely many of them. So to avoid that, you define it in this way, so that now when you act this on the ground state, you get 0, because same logic. This is 0 because you cannot annihilate something which does not exist, and here you cannot create when something already exists. Okay, so for these reasons, these two are separately 0 when acting on the ground state. So this is a normal ordered. So this measures the deviation. So it tells you what is the deviation from the original infinitely many particles. So this is a fluctuation in the number of right movers, basically. That's the normal ordered definition of right movers. Of course, this as usual, this subtracted by nr is infinity. Well, in this case, minus infinity. Okay. So this and the original nr differ by a constant which happens to be infinity. Okay. So this is the correct way of defining number of right movers normal ordered. Similarly, this is the correct way of defining infinity. In number of left mover. So similarly, momentum. Okay. So momentum, how would you define? Naively, how you define? You just define P is already the momentum. So you just multiply with the number of fermions, which is C dagger PCP, multiply by its eigenvalue is P, and then add up all the momentum. That would be your momentum of the total momentum of all the right movers, isn't it? But that's not a good idea, because why is that not a good idea? To define momentum as P into C dagger PCP summation over all P, because because am I audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Yeah, so why is it not a good idea to define momentum as P into C dagger P CP summation over all P? Because after all, C dagger P CP is the number of fermions with momentum P, and P is the momentum of the fermion. So P into C dagger P CP summation over all P is the total momentum, isn't it? But that's not a nice operator to handle, because I just told you. Why are you hesitating? Because you didn't follow anything I said, is it, till now? I talked about infinities.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, because we have that infinitely many occupied states, negative and negative
What's
moment.
happening? People are not following, or they are not paying attention, or they're not interested. What's happening? I don't hear a response. I just said exactly that just 30 seconds ago. Yeah, so you just see all the negative p's are forget. I'm not talking about. Look, this is the correct way of doing it. But suppose you do it naively. Just say P into C dagger P CP summed over all P's. That's not a good idea, because C dagger P CP will be 1 for every P less than 0, isn't it? Because all the P's less than 0 are occupied. So C dagger P CP is 1 when it's acting on the ground state, when P is less than 0. So if you add up all the p's with where p is negative, you will get minus infinity naturally. So plus infinity or minus infinity as an eigenvalue is not a good idea, isn't it? You understood that part or not? Because that is very critical. If you don't understand normal ordering, in fact, I for a long time didn't understand it, and the reason why I didn't understand it is because these issues are completely glossed over. If you make an effort to read any of the review articles, they don't spend enough time explaining this. They assume the reader already knows this, but the reader is reading the review article only to learn those things. But the author actually presumes that. So the reason for these this like series of lectures is to kind of emphasize points which, of course, in hindsight are obvious and trivial, and you'll probably feel annoyed. If you listen to it the second time, you'll probably be annoyed. You'll probably think, why am I, obvious? It's obvious only in hindsight. So,
Sir, I have a question. So this we have the C dagger P CP plus C minus P C dagger minus P, right? So this plus, like it can be minus also, right?
Yeah, no, it isn't. So that's exactly the point. So what you have to show is that, firstly, convince yourself that this dot dot PR dot dot acting on ground state is 0. Is that obvious? I told you why that's obvious, because
Yeah.
this part is 0 because you're trying to destroy something which is not there, and this you're trying to create something which is already there. So
Yes.
so both are separately 0, so that's obvious. So this acting on ground state is 0. But more importantly, why is this related in a trivial way to the original PR, right? Which is sigma P, C dagger P, CP. I mean, so the difference between this funny PR and the original PR should be a constant. Otherwise, it is wrong. I mean, this is not the definition of the momentum. I mean, this is not like, just because it's annihilated by the ground state doesn't mean anything. It has to physically represent the momentum. So it will represent the momentum only if the difference between this and the actual momentum is some constant, which of course happens to be infinity, but it is still a constant. Means it's proportional to the identity operator. So the difference between this and the original PR that you naively construct should be proportional to the identity operator. Otherwise, this is not the correct definition of the normal order version of the actual momentum, isn't it? Isn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
You
Yes.
agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go ahead and prove that. So think of that as a homework. So I haven't done. I mean, it's impossible for me to explain everything in a PPT. I can explain, but then you'll fall asleep. So the claim is that this funny PR minus the naive PR is a constant, which happens to be some infinity. So think of that as a homework and prove it. If the proof is entirely analogous to this proof here. I mean, it's actually identical, because you see, why is it identical? Because you see, energy is proportional to momentum. So the energy and momentum are just differ by Vf. See, these are massless fermions. So all you have to do is divide this whole thing by Vf, and that proof is for momentum also, isn't it? I mean, see, this times Vf is basically HR, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So similarly for left movers, this is how you define for left movers. But here for right movers, P is greater than 0. For left movers, P is less than 0. So the difference between this funny PR and the actual PR is a constant. Sorry. The difference between this funny PL and the actual PL is also a constant, but that constant happens to be infinity. Okay. Okay. So now I define, so instead of making all the eigenvalues of PR, PL, HR, NR, all those things 0, it's defined. It's beneficial to be slightly more general. So instead, what I'll do is that instead of postulating that they are 0, I'll allow for the possibility that the eigenvalues of NR is something which is not 0. So in other words, you can have a depletion, slight depletion in the. So instead of saying that all the negative energies are populated, well, you can say all the negative energies are populated, up to a certain value, and then they're empty. Or I can say, well, they're populated up to. So that's effectively the same as. So okay, so basically that's effectively the same as saying that the energy of right movers is not Vf into P, but it's actually Vf into P minus Kf, where Kf can be either positive or negative. So that means So basically, so if the energy is Vf into P, then when P is less than 0, right, all the states are occupied when P is less than 0, isn't it? But if I say the energy of the right mover is not Vf into P, I say it's Vf into Vf whole into P minus Kf. So I mean, I will just shift it by constant. So then the ground state is all states are occupied when P is less than Kf, and all states are empty when P is greater than Kf, isn't it? Okay. So I mean, I'll make it slightly more general because that's advantageous. Okay. And I can make it slightly more general without violating any of the rules of Bostonization. So it's advantageous to make it as general as possible so that later on you can use it in a wider variety of problems. If you make it too specific, then you won't be able to use it later on. Okay. In fact, we are right now, Danny, Nikhil, and I are using this in the case of bias. So if you apply voltages to Luttinger liquids, you will get some results which are unusual. So that's not going to be possible without this generalization where you allow for this Kf to appear in your formalism. Okay. So that's called a Virasoro primary state. So it has a fancy name. So the Virasoro primary state is one where the normal ordered number of right movers has an eigenvalue which is non-zero, and notice that this can be either positive or negative. NR need not be positive. So it's positive means it tells you that actually more fermions than the original ground state where all the negative energies are occupied. But it can be NR is negative means there's a depletion relative to the original state. So you can have both. Because NR measures a deviation from the original state. So the deviation can be greater than 0 or less than 0. So similarly, PR. Well, a PR is probably, well, we'll say later on that this PR has to be positive because of certain reasons. Well, yeah, we'll prove that. We'll actually show that the eigenvalue PR is directly related to this NR. So these two are not independent. PR is related to NR. Okay. So that's called the Virasoro primary state. So just as so if Kf, so remember when Kf is 0, that corresponds to NR equal to 0. So that's the eigenvalue of that. This dot NR is NR. So if that is 0, then Kf is 0. So the original situation was that is defined in such a way that when P is greater than 0, acting on ground state is 0. And if you try to create less than 0, it's also 0 because you cannot create when it's already present. You cannot annihilate when it's not there. But now, when you have this bias type of thing, fermions are absent only when P is greater than Kf, not when P is greater than 0. So fermions are absent when P is greater than Kf. And similarly, fermions are present when P is less than Kf. So when fermions are present, you cannot create, and fermions are absent, you cannot annihilate. So of course this continues to hold. I mean, this B. Remember that B is related to the density of right movers, and that was defined very carefully, and that continues to hold. So now, as promised, I'm going to show that the eigenvalue of this normal ordered PR, which I've called as related to the eigenvalue of the normal ordered NR, which is basically I've called it just as NR. So I'm going to show that these eigenvalues are not related. I mean, they're not unrelated. So in other words, PR eigenvalue and these two are related. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. So did you understand this part? My pointer didn't come. Did you understand this statement? So when you have this bias, fermions are absent when P is greater than Kf, so you can't annihilate. And fermions are present when P is less than Kf, so you can't create when it's already there. And this is the usual density of right movers. This times root 2 pi by QL here, right?
Yes.
I'll show you that eigenvalue of this normal ordered PR, which I have called as PR, is
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, madam. I can hear you.
But I think last maybe connection problem probably. Sir, are you there?
Yeah, I think he has some network problem.
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
now we can hear you.
You see, I'm going to wind up very soon because firstly we have to leave when there's a network problem.
Hello, Danny.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll call him.
Okay. Okay.
He's not there.
Okay. Hello everyone. There is some network issue. So in next talk, sir will and this today there is no more talk on these topics. We'll continue in next lecture. Bye.
He's asking for the recording. So you send it to him.
Recording.
Yeah, you can stop recording now. I think.
Okay.